Let's jump to this next story, though, while we're talking about getting nothing done. This is actually something getting done, actually. Timcast.com reports Oklahoma governor signs law banning abortion from moment of conception. Woo. This is interesting. They crafted this abortion ban off of liberal arguments, leftist arguments. They say, House Bill 4327 went into effect immediately upon signing and bans abortion unless the procedure is necessary to save the life of the mother or is the result of rape, sexual assault, or incest that has been reported to law enforcement. Removing a miscarried fetus or ectopic pregnancy will not be considered abortion. There it is. Every argument from the left has been addressed.
It's brilliant.
It basically bans elective abortion. That's it. This is the only state in the nation to have banned elective abortion. Most, I believe there's maybe like a dozen or two states that have elective abortion to the point of viability or at viability, meaning the baby can survive. And then you have 7 states plus Washington, D.C. that allow you to abort a baby at 9 months. Now, hold on. I can already hear the liberals screaming. I did not say it is a common occurrence. That is not my point. My point is it is illegal, and so it happens sometimes. I don't care if it's rare. If it's not an issue and it's not happening all the time, why is it legal and why should it be allowed? Additionally, as for this law, this appears to be the majority opinion of this country, that people want abortion to be legal only in certain circumstances. Well, here it is. This is what Oklahoma's done, right?
I thought that, maybe I'm wrong, Roe v. Wade, does that not protect, or does that not say that the states cannot ban abortion?
It certainly does.
So how is this guy signing a bill that bans it?
The same way that California doesn't enforce immigration laws.
Whoa.
That's right. California
sanctuary status.
They're a sanctuary state, and they will not cooperate or work with federal law enforcement.
You know, I respect the state's rights to do that. It's not even about if I agree with it or not. I respect that that's how the United States works. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, I absolutely don't.
No?
I do not.
You don't like that governors can go rogue?
I don't like the governors can go rogue. Because
They got to, because DeSantis, man, he was like a beacon during the COVID pandemic. Florida thrived.
Sure, there's differences between Florida being like, we're not going to agree with federal guidelines on a lot of these things, and we're going to run our state the way we want. There's another thing when, at a federal level, when it comes to things like illegal immigration or slavery or abortion, we're like, there are certain things that this country has not made, that has made illegal. Now, the reason why I don't like it is if you look at what California's done, by not enforcing immigration law, they inflate their population to a certain degree. And then congressional seats are apportioned based on population size.
And electoral college.
And electoral college means California got an extra vote in the presidency. So when people say illegal immigrants vote, let me correct you. They do not individually go out and vote, but it doesn't matter. We elect our president through the electoral college. They don't need to vote. Their presence grants an extra vote to California. Now, California lost a vote, I think, in the last due to the last census. But before this, constantly just allowing people to come in, granting them free health care, they're putting a strain on the surrounding states. And imagine you are, Nevada or Idaho or Arizona, and you've got people going into California, staying there in violation of the law, and then they can cross over from the west into your state that's already dealing with a border crisis. Mm-hmm. That's an issue for other states that's infringing upon those states' rights. This is the kind of issue that literally resulted in the Civil War. The South, they had slaves. And they said the North should abide by federal law, right? Well, the federal law had the Fugitive Slave Act, and the North was not abiding by it. I mean, I agree with. That I think the problem, I think slavery should have been abolished. The issue for the South, though, was that if the federal government was not going to be able to enforce these laws, then why should there be a union at all? Well, there you go.
Well, that's the issue. It's the federal government. So, the 10th Amendment, reserve power, states should be able to do all these things, X, Y, and Z, that are not granted in the Constitution of the federal government. So I think a hybrid of what you guys are saying is sort of workable. The problem with the sanctuary state staying on the immigration issue is that it's not being enforced. Like, the federal government could go and enforce the law in California. They are electing not to do that. They are electing to break our own federal statutes. That's my problem, because they agree with the policy decision in California that overrides a federal statute. Someone should be going to jail on this and enforcing this law and allowing our immigration authorities to go in there and not do that. But the way they work it is they basically go into all the jails when illegal immigrants come over and make first contact with law enforcement, and the ICE detainers aren't applied. They're just like, we're not doing it. We California are not doing it. It's a federal offense. Someone should go prosecute the governor.
I suppose, we can say this too. You're just looking back on what I literally said. It's an issue of our personal morals and worldviews as to what we think is fair and acceptable.
Yeah, because weed, for instance, California was like, it's legal here, and the feds we're going to protect you from the feds. That was basically, and then the feds were like, all right, they proved their point. We're not messing with California anymore.
No, that's not true.
Well, for the most part.
Yeah,
it got
I think
better.
Obama was like, send in the troops.
Kind of.
The
But
DA was storming
it
dispensaries.
laxed. When I was there in 2006, it was very dangerous to have a weed card. But then by 2010, it was totally cool.
There are some instances, I suppose. I think the illegal immigration issue is probably what I mostly disagree with, and I think maybe the states asserting themselves is probably a good thing. So maybe I'll walk back a little bit. The thing about the illegal immigration is that it affects the entirety of the country in a very serious negative way politically. It actually takes congressional seats from somewhere else and gives it to a state. So it's almost like stealing influence. Whereas the weed thing isn't that big of a deal. And like I was just saying, when the North was refusing to return slaves, that was a good thing. The North saying, screw you, we don't care about your law. Okay, that I agree with. So maybe there are positions where the states should say screw off to the federal government.
Could the federal government just refuse to acknowledge the population growth of California if they know that there's illegal immigration?
Well, that's what the Trump administration tried to do with how they were doing the census back in 2020. They wanted to not include illegal aliens.
Right. So that's the whole point of the census. It goes to the Electoral College and a couple other things, but that's what he tried to do. The census was basically saying you're counting them wrong. You're counting illegal people in the census, and the census is supposed to count Americans because we only have X amount of electoral votes. There's no new ones. It's not like you're getting another one. Like Tim said, I think what most people don't get is it's not like California got a +1 and everybody else stayed the same. Somebody lost one. That's the problem. That was a matter that Trump was trying to take on. He's like, why should they lose one if their population is remaining the same and another population is increasing with illegally present individuals? That was the heart of the matter.
And they didn't want to show who was legal. They didn't want people coming in and being like, show me your papers, because they thought it was like Nazi Germany and people would get arrested, families would get broken up, and that's why there was so much resistance to it.
Yeah.
No, I think that that's a lie. I think they know exactly what they're doing.
Like California?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, for sure they do.
And so, but they'll come out and be like, it's racist.
Sure.
It's easy. It's easy to say it.
Right.
It's like, and it works. All the headlines. Yeah, everybody's a racist if you're not for illegal immigration. I'm for legal immigration, and I'm just not for illegal immigrants wrecking our society. I mean,
what's your ethnic background?
Indian.
So you're the Indian face of white supremacy.
Yeah, I'm Brown Lives Matter.
Oh yeah.
How do regular people fall for that stuff, right? Calling Larry Elder the black face of white supremacy.
But it's just easy.
Nuts.
It's just an easy epithet that's meaningless, and it's like we were talking about earlier. It doesn't solve anything. No one's having an actual conversation. They're just like, oh, that sounds cool, and let me go blast it on social media and get popular.
It's used so much now, though, that it's lost all of its meaning.
Yeah, I think it's Roman supremacy, and that we talk about empires and how empires fall, but like the Roman Empire is still so heavily entrenched. The Roman Catholic Church, the Roman, and like the Roman. I don't know where else you want to go with it, but
why the Romans?
The Roman Empire. We're basically the vestige of the Roman Empire right now.
We are.
The Roman Catholic Church is basically the Holy Roman Empire that lasted for another 1,000 years after the Roman Empire fell apart.
Maybe a little too.
And then they call it white.
Derivative. I mean, if you want to go back, you can keep going back beyond that and talk about all the other cultures.
You could.
And
The Romans were pretty unique in history. Like white. When you talk about white supremacy, it's really Roman supremacy, the slave state of the Roman Empire.
I don't agree.
Yeah.
I'm seeing a lot of that tonight.
There wasn't.
What's in your water?
I mean, the Europeans were, it's an amalgamation of the Roman holdovers.
It fractured.
Yeah.
They all became their kind of similar but different, cultures. Then we got colonization. It's a really interesting history. It's fascinating. The Roman Empire breaks up. Then you get all these, countries emerge, sharing a language in some ways and not in others. Then they go off and colonize other areas, compete with each other, going to war. It is pretty crazy.
Yeah, they took Germany, France, and Spain, and Italy, the Romans, and then, of course, the empire.
But I just think there's there is a majority privilege, right? I think when you look to any country, the people who look mostly like each other typically are, more likely to work with each other. In China, they're all racist to people who aren't Chinese. So these things, they happen, but To blindly just come out when someone has a legitimate critique or political concept and to insult them as racist, to say simultaneously that only white people can be racist, but Candace Owens is a white supremacist, I'm just kind of like, you lost me, because I don't think you're actually saying words anymore. I think it's just a cult.
Well, I'm not a racist. I'm just a genocidal dictator. Remember, they skipped the racist.
right,
thing.
Yeah, the Daily Beast said that.
So, I wonder what it feels like to be called a racist. I
I
don't
think
know.
you think we're all a little racist, small r racist. I think that you're right. That it's more about familiarity bias. People aren't necessarily racist, just whatever you've been around.
Well,
is
my
what you're
family
comfortable
first,
with.
when my family first came here, was my dad, his 8 brothers and sisters, and their wives or husbands and their kids in one place. I don't know that we were racist, but they didn't know the world. They hung out with Indian people, not because they didn't want to hang out with other people. They just didn't know what the heck to do. My mother wore sari to the grocery store for 10 years because she didn't know what else to wear.
I would like to go on record and just say I hate everybody equally.
That's the only way to do
See,
it.
that's smart.
There you go. There you go. Thanks for checking out this segment from the Timcast IRL podcast. But if you want to check out the full show live, tune in Monday through Friday at 8 p.m. And if you want more special access content, head over to timcast.com and become a member. Your membership helps sustain this company, keep our journalists employed, makes this show happen, and you will get access to exclusive members-only segments of the Timcast IRL podcast, and there's a massive library to check out. So again, go to timcast.com or tune in Monday through Friday at 8 p.m., and we'll see you all there.